I was doing, so I don't think I've fully told you the crash EMDR session that I did with my, like, I think I've attempted to start telling you and I've been too tired or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So this is me telling you right now in real time. So eye movement is typical EMDR where you're like going back and forth, horizontal or whatever direction. But for me, that's hard with ADD. And so this time she brought in we've never done like a full EMDR session. We've just tried to identify like what works. And then I was never stable enough to move with it. But in this case, she's trying to like crash prepare me for oral argument, meaning she's trying to give me the tools very quickly try to stabilize this one point. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So she gave me these two handheld things, and she can control the speed and intensity, and they vibrate. So it's just bilateral stimulation. So I'm just holding them. So I hold them with my eyes closed. And she starts out, just asking me to observe what I'm feeling. And I don't remember what I said, probably something like nervousness or whatever. And then she says, observe yourself like in that courtroom or whatever. It's not going to be a courtroom. It's going to be a phone call. But regardless, like, whatever. And she said, what do you notice? She would do that. She'd be like, her words are, and none of this is like new agey stuff. This is science. Okay. Not like knocking new agey stuff, because I don't even know what that means. I'm just saying this is scientific. EMDR is like highly supported by science. And so anyway, so she would say, notice that. So for this instance, it was, I'm nervous. Okay. Then she would say, what did you notice? And I would say, I noticed I was nervous. Then she would say, okay, notice that. And then I would notice that again. And then she said, what did you notice? Or what did you observe? And I said, I saw myself in a courtroom. She said, okay, do it again. Notice that. And keep in mind, like, she stops the vibrations in between, but it's like pretty fast. Okay. And then she starts it again as soon as I like close my eyes and think. So I noticed the courtroom. And then she said, tell me what you observed. I said, I saw other children. And she said, okay, notice that again, starting the bilateral stimulation. She said, what do you observe? I said, I'm nervous. She said, I want you to this time take that nervousness and set it aside. I said, how do I do that? She said, literally just like imagine yourself like picking it up and placing it aside. So then we started it again. And she said, what did you observe? And I said, I pictured myself like picking up this anxiety out of my chest and putting it into this box that's in the courtroom, locking it. But then I imagined that it was like, you remember the movie Flubber with the slime?
Yeah.
I imagined it was like flubber and it just kept trying to seep out. And all of this is like coming into it was wild. And so I sat on it in my brain. Like I pictured myself sitting on it. And so then I told her and she said, okay. She was like, so I want you to observe yourself again in the courtroom. You see the kids, you're sitting on the box. What do you like? Start again. Notice that. And we did it again. And I said that I said I was this time I said I was nervous again. And it keeps trying to come out. She said, okay, notice that. Then we did it again. She said, what did you observe? And I said, the kids are suffering a lot more than me. And she said, notice that. So I closed my eyes and we did that again. And then she said, what'd you observe? And at that point I started crying. And I opened my eyes and I said, I feel sad for them.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, okay, that's enough. Like, we're done. Like, let's stop here. And I was like, what just happened? I don't understand. And she said it's unprocessed trauma. The science is real. It brings out these emotions in you. It's unprocessed grief. But when I tell you I can't set the kids aside, I can't. Because when I imagine myself in a courtroom, I don't see Mila necessarily. It's bigger than that. Like, I see other kids. Yes, Mila's a part of it. Yes, Mila is like, she's my child. But I'm seeing other kids. And that is immediately where my brain went. And what I actually imagined was the judge in front of me, the kids right here, and me right here between them and the judge. And I know that's an enormous weight. I get it. The thing is, and one thing that I talked to her about is, this doesn't say anything about my abilities or my like confidence in myself or oh, I think I'm so great that I'm going to like help these kids. Like, no, it's just that I see this case as something that can set precedent for kids that are legally entitled to this, that are getting swept under the rug. And one thing I told my therapist is, a lot of parents are gifted with a lot of things. And one of those that I wish I had is patience, right? Like, I don't have a whole lot of, like, I struggle with that, right? What I do have is extreme stubbornness that is often a curse, but can be a blessing. More often than not, it can be a curse. But in this situation, it can be seen as a blessing. And while their parents may choose, she described it a beautiful way, like just to hold their child and enjoy the moment and let it go. I can't because I'm principled and stubborn, and it's wrong. And there's nothing wrong with either one of those. There's nothing wrong with the parent choosing to hold their child, enjoy their child, and let it go at all. There's also nothing wrong with the parent like me who says, no, I don't accept this. And I'm gonna fight it. And I think because I know that this is the one and only time you're going to hear me say this, so obnoxiously stubborn and neurotic and just annoying sometimes when I'm trying to get something done. I see that as something that can be considered a gift in this situation. Not that I am the savior of these children. That's not what I'm saying at all. I don't believe that. I joke about my abilities, but I actually think I'm very incapable. But I just see it for what it is, which is possible legal precedent. That way, if another kid just like Mila applies in the future, there's a case that their attorney or their parent or the judge can point to. So that's why I said I can't set the kids aside.